What if I told you that most businesses set up GoHighLevel and never actually configure the two things that determine whether anyone ever hears from them? No email landing in the inbox, no text message that legally gets delivered, just a powerful platform sitting there doing absolutely nothing. In this video, I'm walking you through exactly how to configure your email services and get your A2P texting registration done right inside GoHighLevel, so your messages actually reach people, your domain reputation stays protected, and you never miss a lead because of a setup step you didn't know you were skipping. Let's get into it. So it was a great opportunity for us to really lay the foundations of the system, the platform, the features, how you want to approach this in terms of implementing this really hefty and powerful tool into your business. I just want to reiterate, this platform does so much. You do not need to use everything all at once. You do not need to master everything all at once. Our goal is to get your account and ready for you to start using it. Ultimately, this can be a very long-term project in terms of building things out as you need them. But if you never actually have the account set up and ready to use on a daily basis within your business, you're never going to get to the really cool creative stuff that is possible with this platform. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop in. So calendars was the last thing that we looked at, which again, really critical. So do make sure that you get those calendars configured. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is email services. So we need to be able to send and receive emails from this system. So make sure you're in your sub account, and then we're going to go to settings at the bottom left. We left off on calendars, and now we're diving into email services. So email services, it's actually pretty simple to use, right? When you click on this screen, it is going to tell you about creating a dedicated domain. All you need to do is click on Create Dedicated Domain. Now we need a subdomain to be able to use this. So these are the instructions down here. This is going to add DNS records to your domain. That may have been something you have never had to look at before, and that's all right. So for most people, this is going to be a very quick and easy process, but it depends on where your domain is registered. So if you are using a domain registrar like GoDaddy, for example, something that's really popular and widely used, they will allow you to just log in and connect your domain, and it's going to add the necessary DNS records for you to allow you to verify this domain in your account. So ultimately, this will be the sending domain from your emails. Now, this is not what it's going to look like when it says this email is from X, Y, and Z. There is just a little snippet of code in those header settings of your email, which will show this domain. But don't worry, you still can send the email from the email address you want it to appear to be sent from, but this is actually where it's being sent from on a technical level. So we don't need to dive too much into how that works. I'll show you how to connect this. Now, this lc.mydomain.com, LC is just an example, and that stands for lead connector because that is what their email service and their phone service is called, the same way their app is called Lead Connector, which we talked about. It does not have to be LC dot whatever. You can choose what you want it to be. So we could just do email, and I'm going to connect a domain that I own that I just don't have connected anymore so that you guys can see how this works. And it will be addintel.ai, I believe. Let me just double check, addintel.ai. Okay. So we type it in, we click on add and verify, and we can see it says almost there, verifying MX and SPF records. So again, a lot of these email records are things that might be a little bit confusing for you. Now, there are certain people who may have to add these records manually. It's really not that hard and confusing. I have a YouTube video on how to do this. We will add that in the resources for day 2. We'll also do another step-by-step guide. But for most people, if you are using a popular domain registrar, it's going to do this exact process that we're going through right here. It's setting up this domain. It knows that my domain provider is GoDaddy. We're going to click on authorized domain. Now I'm already logged into my GoDaddy account because it makes it easier. You don't have to log in again. If you're not logged in, it will prompt you to log in. So make sure you do have access to that. You've got your login credentials. And now it says email.adintel.ai is now your lead connector domain. Now it's pulling up these records. So we can see that these three are verified. These three below are not verified. So I'm going to click on verify domain and it's going to try and re-verify those records. Now, this is verify the domain to get the current status, verify now. So it takes a little bit of time for these records to be updated in the system. If this does not fully verify right away, don't worry, that's super, super common. But all we want to do is keep trying to verify until it looks like this. We've got the green SSL issued. Everything looks good here. Now, this is our email domain. We also have domain configuration over here. For the most part, none of you guys are going to need to worry about that. So again, there are some advanced settings in a lot of these different options. For the most part, we're just going to try and keep it simple. So now I can see that lead connector email is connected, and this is that sending domain. It's got the check mark. We are good to go. We also have reply and forwarding settings. On the forwarding, it says you will receive the email replies not only in the conversations view, but also in your personal email inbox. I want to just bring to your attention because a lot of people are like, oh, I definitely want those. In my personal opinion, you do not. Okay. The benefit of using this system is that everything is contained in one place. When you are using the conversations tab where you can see every email, every text message, every DM, you want the responses to those to also be in the conversations tab. And the reason for that is that you may not be the only one that's looking at this. You might have team members who are responsible for reviewing these communications. And even if you're not having someone else do that right now, your goal will be that someone else will be doing it. And maybe in the past, it was virtually impossible for you to do that because people were calling your personal cell phone, texting your personal cell phone, emailing you at your personal inbox, and you either couldn't or didn't want to give other people access to that. That means that those responses that you send, they're not in high level. Okay. You're taking this thread that started in high level and now you're actually moving that conversation thread into your inbox, which means that you will not be able to see that in high level. So for data purposes, for giving your team the ability to see a full view of everything that's been discussed with this lead or client, you want to keep it in the inbox. You're also likely going to be sending out mass broadcast emails at some point. You're going to get a lot of vacation notifications and things like that. Do you really want all that cluttering up your inbox? The answer, in my opinion, is no. But this is a personal preference. You can also forward emails to their assigned user. If you do this, the same things will happen. Again, it is still personal preference, but that means that whatever email address is in their My Profile option, which again, I don't see this here because I am not a user in this account. I am an agency admin who has access to this account, but I have not been added as a user. So if I was a user, I'd see that My Profile section. It's going to have my name, my email, my phone. Those pieces of information are critical because if you are ever assigning things to a user or forwarding things to a user, that will be the email address or the phone number that those things are shared with. Okay. So just make sure when you or your staff are setting those up, it's their best email and their best phone number. You also have the option to add a reply to email address. So it says reply conversations cannot be tracked and will not come back to conversations thread. Exactly what I just shared with you. I prefer to do nothing on this screen. There are people who choose otherwise, but that is up to you. Email metrics. This is going to be an overall email metric view, but we also have other reporting in several other places for emails. We have risk assessments to keep track of your email verification. I would definitely be looking at this as you start to email. Bounce classifications. We want to know, are you having a lot of hard bounces? Are you having a lot of soft bounces? Basically, are you reaching the inboxes of the people you want to reach? And then Postmaster tools. Google Postmaster tools is very powerful. I would absolutely set up a Google Postmaster Tools account and add this domain in there. That'll just help you keep tabs on your email domain reputation. This is important because if you have a poor email domain reputation, your emails are not going to hit the inbox of the people that you were trying to email, or it just won't hit their inbox in a large percentage of cases. So just know that these basic settings are going to live in email services. Our next setting is going to be phone system. So we just connected our email. We're good to go on being able to send email. Now, there are some considerations when it comes to warming up your email. We talked a little bit about that. My best recommendation is that you go ahead and you import contacts from wherever you had them, whether that was a spreadsheet, your personal email, whatever. But the best people to import and start communicating with first are current clients. These are people that are going to be highly unlikely to mark your emails as spam. They are going to be very likely to open these emails. So that is sending very early signals to these email service providers saying, hey, this is a legitimate email. People are opening them, they're not marking them as spam. So start with the people who know you best and let them know beforehand, hey, this is a new email account we're going to start sending from. Keep an eye out for these emails. Please make sure to open them and reply to them so we know that you're getting them. So just prime people. You can import the rest of your contacts, but the worst thing you can do is start blast emailing cold leads that you haven't communicated with in 5 years. You can warm those people up. You don't have to not email them. We don't want to do that right away. We only want positive email signals being sent. So hottest leads, current clients, maybe even past clients, but people who are going to be likely to open these. All right, now we've got our phone system tab. There are several different things that go into the phone systems. One thing is A2P registration. Now, I did not even realize that it looks like this account is actually connected to Twilio. So just a quick little backstory on GoHighLevel originally. When they were in their first couple of years, we didn't have the opportunity to add that email domain as simply as we did. Same thing with phone. We actually had to configure things in Twilio, which is for phone and text message. We had to set up a Mailgun account, configure these things in our Mailgun account, and connect them to GoHighLevel. That was not easy for most people. So this has been a huge benefit. But because I've been on this platform for so long, some of our accounts are still using those original softwares. Those are still the softwares where everything runs through anyway, but now they basically just have a direct integration. But this is your phone system screen. All right, we've got phone numbers, we have voice, and then we have additional settings right here. So my additional settings, it shows that I am connected directly to Twilio. Because of that, my A2P registration happens directly in Twilio for this account. And again, I'll show you one that is not in Twilio so you can see the A2P registration. Now, A2P, this is a whole training on its own. All right. So I wouldn't say waste time today because this is important. Okay. You cannot text message people if you have not been A2P registered. It is required for you to do this as a business. It is also something that you are going to want to do right away because it doesn't always get approved immediately. So the sooner you do this, the sooner you will be able to have full functionality when it comes to text messaging. All right, we are going to be sharing an A2P snapshot. This A2P snapshot is designed to give you the highest chance of success in getting A2P registered. We also have a guide on A2P registration. Now, if you go through this exactly and you still get rejected, don't freak out. This happens to a lot of people as the regulations are constantly changing and GoHighLevel is constantly having to adjust based on those regulations. You might need to resubmit it. It will tell you exactly what you were missing or why it was rejected so you have an opportunity to fix it. Okay. But we're going to share those resources after the call. We do have a full training, so just keep an eye out for those resources, but you will want to do that. If you have Lead Connector, which you will by default if you have recently set up a GoHighLevel account, and unless you have a conscious memory of going in and setting up Twilio and configuring that, by default, you're going to be on Lead Connector, which is a good thing because it's easier for you. That means there will be a tab at the top that says Trust Center. Trust Center is where you do your A2P registration, but that additional training that we're going to send out to you guys, it's got all of that information in there. It's a step by step, and then we also have step by step guides as well. So, in terms of actually configuring your phone number, you do not have to wait. You can still make voice calls. This is something that is specifically for text messaging. It does not apply to voice calls in the same way. So you can go ahead and get a phone number. This phone number can be used for phone calls, inbound and outbound, through the GoHighLevel web app or through the Lead Connector app, which is the GoHighLevel app. And then you can also take calls and make calls on your cell phone through that app. So if you prefer to just use your phone for calls, then the app is how you're going to do that. But we need to go ahead and get a phone number. It does cost money for these phone numbers. Very cheap, $1.15 per month. Most people want a specific area code. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to click on filter. You are going to search by digit or phrases, and we want to match to the first part of the number. So I am going to type in 502. That is my area code. And now it's going to show me these different 502 phone numbers that I can purchase. Now, you can get as many phone numbers as you want. If you want different team members to each have their own number assigned to them in GoHighLevel, do that. If they're in sales, I'd recommend that. If there are people on your team that are going to have back and forth phone communication with leads, you definitely want to do that. But it's not required for every person on the team. Just know that you're not limited to one number. So what I usually look for, especially when it comes to text messaging, is I like numbers that have repeating numbers. That's my preference, just because I feel like it's easier to remember. But you also are going to look for the location that's shown. So you can see some of this just says US, and then others will say Carrollton or Mount Washington or Sulphur. None of these are like my specific area. An area code covers a large radius. Choose one that fits you best. There is no wrong answer, but if you scroll through all of these and you still don't see a number that you want, you just need to click on refresh results and it will give you a new set of phone numbers. Honestly, if it's got a local area code, most people are going to be fine. If you are a national business or a global business, it literally doesn't matter. Just choose the area that you feel like your potential clients would be most receptive to answering. Okay. And there's not really one right answer, but let's say you're like a big tech type of business. Maybe a San Francisco area code would be a good one. So just think of it in that way, but you just go ahead and you're going to proceed to buy. I'm going to go ahead and buy this number. I don't really need it, but we're going to go ahead and buy one. Now, if we click on the edit button, that little pencil icon represents edit in pretty much every area of your GoHighLevel account. We can give this phone number a friendly name. So we can just call this default number. Like this can be our general inbound, outbound number. Calls go to. So select how this number should route calls. Route calls to an internal team member. I don't have to assign it to a specific team member though. Okay. I can forward this number to my existing landline if I want to. So let's say you just want a call tracking number. So finally, you can give out a number, and if people call in, you can listen to the call recordings, you can see where they came from. You also might want to have different numbers for different platforms that you're advertising. Maybe you've got one number for Google or search advertising, you've got one for Meta and social advertising, you've got one for just your primary website, whatever you want to do to be able to see which of those platforms are bringing in the highest number of calls and the best quality calls. This is not a required option, but you can do this if you want this specific number to be assigned to a team member. So if we want this, we'll select the team member. We can say we want it to forward to his phone, mobile phone, web app, or not. It's personal preference. Call recording, I would absolutely turn on. Okay. You want to hear these call recordings. If you don't want a call recording message, you can just put a space in there, or you can say this call might be recorded for quality and training purposes, like so many of us are used to hearing. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do phone number right there. Call forwarding. We've got external phone numbers where you can put that external phone number that you want it forwarded to. Right now, we have this as first priority because I selected a team member but it does not have to be second priority. So we could just have all of them route to your existing landline. Voice AI is another thing, and we will get into voice AI and conversational AI on day 4. This is something where I would have a specific number for your voice AI agent. So don't select this for your catch-all, like basic inbound and outbound number. And then you can also add a business phone number right here. You can have it ring multiple team members, and whoever answers first answers that call. So there's a lot of different options. It really just comes down to who do you want to get that phone call when it comes in? Do you want multiple people to have the opportunity to answer so there's a lower chance of that call being missed? Or do you just want voice AI to answer all of your calls so a call is absolutely never missed? Or do you simply want this to forward to your existing business number where you've got a receptionist or somebody who is tracking those calls? Incoming call goes to backup after timeout seconds. So you can select incoming call timeout or outgoing call timeout. All right. So this is basically just saying after a certain number of seconds, do we want this to go to a backup option? You can either have voicemail as the backup option, or if your voice AI is configured, you can have voice AI as your backup. So these are the primary call forwarding settings. And then we have advanced settings. So call connect, this is an option that will call your leads. You have to select this in the workflows, but it will call your leads. And when they press a key to receive the call, it will connect with your team or your phone number. This can be a good way to go if you want to dive into the call connect features, just so you only are having your team member pick up the phone when that person has already answered. This is a good option. A whisper message is something you will want for call connect. So you would turn this on and you can say, this is a call from your HighLevel account or whatever. So this is to make sure your team member knows who this call is for. And then you can bring your own number. All right. We're not going to dive into all of these options right now, but you can have numbers moved into HighLevel. Again, simplest option, get a HighLevel number, forward it to your existing landline number. Just don't drive anybody to your old landline number. This is really something you can use for lead generation and advertising, but everybody's got their own scenario. Okay, so we've already got our number. Friendly name is listed as Allie's number. If we go to number info, we can see the basics. Edit configuration gets us exactly where we were before. But anytime you see a pencil icon or a little 3-dot menu, we're going to be able to go to edit our configurations. Right? You can also do number pools. There's a lot of different stuff you can do for phone numbers. Again, this is personal preference, but step number 1 is just getting your first number, configuring this number to forward to the right person, to ring the right people, to have a voicemail set up if you want to set up a voicemail, and then immediately start your A2P registration. Now, on the voice side, we've got voicemail and missed call text back. Text back is simply when you miss a call, it's going to text that number and say, hey, sorry, we missed your call. And you can configure what you want that to say. Again, I recommend you use voice AI, even as a backup. So if a real person doesn't answer, it is answered by voice AI. That pretty much makes missed call text back obsolete. There's not really a reason to do that if you know that worst case scenario, your voice AI is going to answer and you will never have another missed call to this number. If you want the call to go to voicemail after 20 seconds, select 20 seconds, upload a voicemail. But again, I highly recommend voice AI, which we will talk about on day 4. You can also connect WhatsApp to follow up. So if you use WhatsApp, if your potential leads or clients use WhatsApp, I would definitely connect this. It is not required, but it is one more communication channel. And in today's world where people are bombarded by text messages, phone calls, DMs, all the things, all the time, somebody who really does want to communicate with you, your messages can easily get lost in the shuffle. So the more places you can reach them, the better. And then we are going to hop into custom fields next. So email and phone, 2 very critical components of this system. If you are using this for follow-up, lead communication, client communication, Those are non-negotiable. You have to have them, set them up right away, and then follow along with the resources for our A2P registration to make sure that you have that two-way text messaging capability, because this is one of the single best ways to increase your conversion rates. All right, we're going to hop over actually to our domains next. Then we'll do integrations. Then we're going to hop into custom fields and values. So I want to make sure that you fully understand custom fields and values, because these are so much more than just settings. They are actually a critical component of how HighLevel operates and the single best way to get extremely creative and unique within your HighLevel account. Okay, so with domains, this is another critical non-negotiable. You are going to have a domain connected to your funnels, connected to your websites, whatever it is that you are trying to put up on the web, it needs a domain. Added in domain purchasing or domain transfers into HighLevel. This is just one more way to keep everything you own under one roof. Less logins, lower costs, ease of use if you need to change things. So if you don't have a domain yet, I would go ahead and purchase your domain in HighLevel. If you want to make it easier for yourself, transfer in your domain. There is a small domain transfer fee. It's not required. My domains are not inside my HighLevel account. Again, this is a relatively new feature, but you can see down here, we've got these external domains. So I can manage this in certain ways right here. I can see this DNS records tab, but I would have to transfer that in to manage my DNS records in HighLevel. So again, personal preference. If you want to use a domain, all right, we're going to click on connect to domain. These are our options: funnel, website, store, blog, or webinar, email, which we already did, client portal, WordPress. We are going to focus on our funnel website style domain. So this is addintel.ai. Now it might tell me that it's already in here because we did connect it with email, but typically we're going to have to add that root domain as well to connect it to our funnel. That's not something you have to have on your domain. If I type in a www with alliebloyd.com, it won't pull up because that's not a part of it. So you can turn this on, and that way, if people do type that in, it will go ahead and pull that up. Now it's going to do the exact same thing that we did when we set up our email domain. It's going to find that domain in GoDaddy. Now this one says a record conflict, multiple A records found, and that's because we already added this in. They do have my root domain right here. So we're going to not do anything with this right now because I do see it here. Again, if you have a domain registrar that is not like a super commonly used one, you are going to have to add some DNS records. It will tell you the type of record to add, and it'll give you the little piece of code to add in there. This is not that complicated. Don't let it overwhelm you. You're going to log into your platform, whatever that is. You are going to navigate to any spot that says like manage domains. Then there should be a section that says DNS records. Click on DNS records and it will tell you to add an A record. It will tell you what to put in those two different spots. You're going to hit save and you'll be good to go. Worst case scenario, you reach out to support of your domain registrar and you say, I need to add an A record and a CNAME record to this domain. Here's what I need to add. Can you do that for me? They will most of the time just do that for you. So it's not really overwhelming. Now it does show us that we've got our subdomain. It says connected products are email. So let's see if we can just take this and connect this with our funnel directly from here. It's the same process we just went through. So it's looking like it's already in the system. And they've just saved us a step because we used to have to do this in two different places. And now it looks like they have just simplified and allowed us to. So you will see your domains here. Make sure that you have a domain that is for your funnels. Now, I may not want to use the same domain for my email and for my funnels. If I don't, I would add a different domain. It looks exactly like what we did with adding it for email. Hit connect, it's gonna find it. We authorize or log in if you're not logged in, and then you are good to go. If you want to do any URL redirects, you can add those here. So redirect from and redirect to. So we do need to have those domains in here in order to do that. Now we're going to hop over to our integrations and then custom fields and values before we hop into funnels. So funnels is really one of the core components of HighLevel. We will go into the forms and the surveys component of funnels, but I want to make sure that we have enough time to really look at custom fields and values.
Now that your email services are connected and your A2P registration is underway, you have the communication infrastructure that most businesses completely overlook, and that alone puts you ahead. But if you want to go further, building out your full GoHighLevel system, your automations, your funnels, your entire follow-up engine, I have programs designed to get you there faster than figuring it all out on your own. If you want a fully guided build out of your GoHighLevel account, and if you're ready to go all in on building or scaling your agency, my coaching and Done With You programs are the place to start. Links to everything are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.
Hey, I gotta know your numbers and I'll show you how to do it. Gotta know your numbers and I swear there's nothing to it. If you're gonna run a business, then you gotta do it right. That means tracking every number that you got in sight. If you don't have the data, then you won't have a clue. But when you know your numbers, they will tell you what to do.